The greatest basketball player who ever lived almost quit the sport at age 16. Michael Jordan, the man who won 6 NBA championships and became a global icon, once sat in his bedroom writing a letter with tears in his eyes. He had just been cut from his high school basketball team. Everyone was laughing at him. He wanted to give up on his dreams forever, but instead of quitting, he made 4 promises to himself, promises so powerful they would shape the next 44 years of his life. He sealed those promises in an envelope marked "Do Not Open Until 2023" and forgot about them completely until March 2023, when a 60-year-old Michael Jordan found that letter while packing boxes in his mansion. His hands shook as he held the faded envelope. Inside was a message from his teenage self that would explain everything: why he worked harder than anyone else, why he never accepted defeat, and why he spent years helping kids who got cut from their teams. The letter revealed that Michael Jordan's greatest victory wasn't any championship he won. It was keeping his word to a heartbroken boy who refused to give up. This is the story of that letter and how failure became the foundation for greatness. Michael Jordan sat on the floor of his home office, surrounded by cardboard boxes and memories. At 60 years old, his knees creaked as he moved, but his hands were still steady. The March sun streamed through the tall windows of his Highland Park mansion, casting long shadows across the hardwood floor. "Are you sure about this move, Michael?" his wife Yvette asked from the doorway. She held a box marked "Trophies Basement" in her arms. Michael looked around the huge office. 6 NBA championship trophies sat on the mantle, 5 MVP awards lined the bookshelf. Hundreds of photos covered the walls of him dunking, him celebrating, him holding up fingers to show how many titles he'd won. "This house is too big now," Michael said. "Too many empty rooms, too many echoes." Yvette nodded and set down her box. She understood. Their kids were grown up and living their own lives. The mansion that once felt full of laughter now felt hollow. Michael opened the bottom drawer of his old oak desk. This desk had been with him for over 20 years. He'd bought it when he first retired from basketball. Inside the drawer were old programs from games, dried up pens, and rubber bands that had lost their stretch. But in the very back, wedged behind a stack of faded photos, his fingers found something unexpected: an envelope, old and yellowed with age. Michael pulled it out carefully. The paper felt fragile, like it might crumble in his hands, and faded blue ink, written in handwriting he recognized as his own, were the words, "Do not open until 2023. His heart started beating faster. "What's that?" Yvette asked, walking over to him. Michael stared at the envelope. His teenage handwriting looked so different from how he wrote now. The letters were bigger, more careful, like he was trying to make sure every word was perfect. I wrote this when I was 16, Michael said, his voice barely above a whisper. Yvette sat down on the floor beside him. "When you were 16, that's over 40 years ago." Michael turned the envelope over. On the back, he had written a date, November 15th, 1979. That date hit him like a punch to the stomach. He remembered that day clearly. It was the worst day of his teenage life. 1979, he said out loud. "That was the year I got cut from the basketball team." His hands started to shake. He could still remember how it felt to see that team list without his name on it. The embarrassment, the shame, the way other kids looked at him with pity in their eyes. "You never told me you wrote yourself a letter," Yvette said softly. "I forgot about it," Michael admitted. "I must have hidden it in this desk when I bought it. All these years, it's been sitting right here." He held the envelope up to the light. He could see writing inside, but couldn't make out the words. Whatever his 16-year-old self had written was waiting for him. "Are you going to open it?" Yvette asked. Michael's hands were shaking harder now. He set the envelope down on the floor between them. "I'm scared too," he said. "Scared? You?" The man who hit the winning shot in the championship game. The man who never backed down from any challenge. Michael laughed, but it sounded hollow. "That's different. This is from the worst time in my life. When I thought I wasn't good enough. When I thought I'd never be good enough." He picked up the envelope again. It felt heavier than it should have, like it contained more than just words on paper. "What if I wrote something I don't want to remember?" he asked. What if it changes how I think about everything that happened? After, Yvette reached over and put her hand on his arm. Michael, you became the greatest basketball player who ever lived. You won 6 championships. You inspired millions of people. Whatever that boy wrote, you proved him right or you proved him wrong. Either way, you won. Michael nodded, but he still didn't open the letter. Instead, he thought back to November 1979. He was a sophomore at Laney High School in Wilmington, North Carolina. He was 5 feet 10 inches tall and dreamed of playing on the varsity basketball team. He remembered running to check the team list that day. He remembered his best friend Leroy Smith's name being there. He remembered his name not being there. He remembered running to the bathroom and throwing up from embarrassment. That night, he had locked himself in his bedroom. His mother Delors had tried to talk to him through the door. His father James had sat in the hallway, telling him that failure was just a teacher in disguise. But Michael hadn't listened. He had been too angry, too hurt, too ashamed. Apparently, he had also written himself a letter. I need to know what I wrote, Michael said finally, but not yet, not right now. He carefully placed the envelope on top of the desk. It sat there like a time bomb, waiting to explode his memories into pieces. When Yvette asked, Michael looked out the window at the March afternoon. In a few months, it would be summer. Basketball season would be over. The world would be quiet. Soon, he said, when I'm ready to face that 16-year-old boy again. But, as he said it, Michael wondered if he would ever really be ready. Some doors, once opened, could never be closed again, and this letter might be one of them. That night, Michael couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about November 15, 1979. The memories came flooding back like water through a broken dam. He was 16 years old again, walking down the hallway at Emsley Laney High School in Wilmington, North Carolina. The school smelled like floor wax and teenage dreams. Basketball tryouts had ended the week before, and Coach Clifton Pop Herring was supposed to post the varsity team list that morning. Michael had been so confident. He was one of the best players on the junior varsity team the year before. He had grown 2 inches over the summer. His jump shot was getting better every day. His best friend Leroy Smith was 6 feet 7 inches tall and would definitely make varsity. They had talked about playing together all summer. We're going to dominate, Leroy had said. You and me, taking this team to the state championship. Michael believed it. He had dreamed about wearing the red and white varsity uniform. He had imagined hearing his name announced over the loudspeaker. He had pictured his parents in the stands, cheering as he scored the winning basket. But dreams and reality are two different things. The varsity team list was posted on the bulletin board outside the gym. A crowd of boys pushed and shoved to see it. Michael waited his turn, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. When he finally got close enough to read the list, he scanned it quickly. The names were written in Coach Herring's neat handwriting: Smith, Leroy Davis, Tommy Johnson, Robert Williams, Kevin Peterson. Michael read the list again, slower this time. His name wasn't there. He read it a third time, then a fourth. Still no Michael Jordan. Jordan didn't make it. Someone whispered behind him. Really? I thought for sure he would. Coach must have seen something we didn't. The words felt like knives in his back. Michael's face burned with embarrassment. He pushed through the crowd and ran to the nearest bathroom. He locked himself in a stall and threw up. When he came out, kids were pointing and whispering. Some laughed behind their hands. Others just stared. Michael had never felt so small in his life. The rest of the school day was a nightmare. In every class, kids asked him about the team. I heard you got cut, they said. Is it true? Some of them seemed sorry for him. Others seemed happy. Both reactions made him feel worse. Leroy found him at lunch. Man, I'm sorry, his best friend said. I thought for sure you'd make it. Yeah, me too, Michael said, staring at his untouched sandwich. Coach said he might call up some JV players later in the season. You still have a chance. But Michael wasn't listening. All he could think about was the list. All those names, and his wasn't one of them. He wasn't good enough. He would never be good enough. When Michael got home that afternoon, he went straight to his bedroom and slammed the door. His mother, Delors Jordan, knocked softly. Michael, honey, I heard about the team. I'm sorry. Go away, Michael said. This isn't the end of the world, baby. You can try again next year. I said go away. His father, James Jordan Sr., tried next. He didn't knock. He just sat down outside Michael's door and talked through it. Son, I know you're hurting right now. When I was your age, I got cut from my high school baseball team. I thought it was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Michael didn't answer. But you know what I learned. Sometimes our biggest failures become our greatest teachers. They show us what we're really made of. I'm not made of anything, Michael said through the door. I'm just not good enough. That's not true, son. You're good enough. You're just not ready yet. There's a difference. But Michael didn't believe him. He felt like everyone at school was laughing at him. He felt like he had let his family down. He felt like he had let himself down. That night, Michael wrote in his diary, November 15, 1979, worst day of my life. Got cut from varsity basketball. Everyone knows. Everyone is talking about it. I'm not good enough. I'll never be good enough. Maybe I should quit basketball and focus on baseball like Dad wants. Maybe I'm just kidding myself about being a basketball player. But he didn't just write in his diary that night. He also wrote something else. Something he would forget about for over 40 years. The next few weeks were terrible. Michael played on the junior varsity team, but his heart wasn't in it. He went through the motions in practice. He scored points in games, but he felt empty inside. His JV coach, Fred Lynch, noticed the change. Jordan, what's wrong with you? You're playing like you don't care. Maybe I don't, Michael said. That's not the Michael Jordan I know. The Michael Jordan I know fights for everything. But Michael felt like all the fight had gone out of him. Every day, he thought about quitting basketball. Every day. He wondered if Coach Herring had been right to cut him. Maybe he really wasn't. Varsity material. One day after practice, Michael walked past the varsity gym. Through the window, he could see the varsity players scrimmaging. Leroy was dominating inside. He looked so confident, so sure of himself. Michael felt a stab of jealousy mixed with sadness. That should have been him in there. He should have been playing with his best friend. Instead, he was watching from outside, like a kid with his nose pressed against a candy store window. That night, Michael made a decision. He was going to quit basketball. He was going to focus on baseball. Like his father wanted. He was tired of feeling like a failure. He was tired of people talking about him. He was tired of disappointment. But before he quit, something happened that would change everything. Something that would save his basketball career and maybe even his life. He just didn't know it yet. 2 weeks later, on a cold December afternoon, Michael walked home from school with his head down. The winter wind cut through his jacket like ice. He felt numb inside and out. As he passed the old Wilmington Community Center, he heard the familiar sound of a basketball bouncing on concrete. The sound made his chest tight. He almost kept walking. But something made him stop and look. Through the chain-link fence, he saw men shooting baskets alone on the outdoor court. The man looked to be in his 40s, tall and lean, with graying hair at his temples. He moved like someone who had played serious basketball before. His shots were smooth and clean. Michael watched for a few minutes. The stranger made shot after shot, jump shots from the free throw line, hook shots from close to the basket, even some long shots from way outside. He never seemed to miss. "You look like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders," the man called out. Michael realized he had been staring. "Sorry," he said. "I was just watching." The man walked over to the fence. Up close, Michael could see kind eyes and a gentle smile. "No need to apologize. I'm Marcus Williams. I'm visiting from Chicago for a few weeks." "Michael Jordan," Michael said quietly. "Well, Michael Jordan, you want to come in here and shoot some hoops? I could use the company." Michael hesitated. He hadn't touched a basketball outside of practice since he got cut. "I'm not very good," he said. Marcus laughed. "Neither was I when I started. Come on, the gate's open." Something about Marcus's voice made Michael feel safe. He walked through the gate and onto the court. Marcus tossed him the ball. "Let's see what you got," Marcus said. Michael dribbled a few times, then took a shot from the free throw line. It went in clean. Then another, and another. Not very good, Marcus said with a grin. You could have fooled me. They played one-on-one for 20 minutes. Marcus was skilled, but Michael was faster and more athletic. When they finished, both were breathing hard and smiling. You've got real talent, young man, Marcus said as they sat on a bench. Why do you look so sad? Michael didn't know why, but he found himself telling Marcus everything. About getting cut from the varsity team, about the embarrassment, about wanting to quit basketball. Marcus listened without interrupting. When Michael finished, Marcus was quiet for a long moment. You know, Marcus said finally, I got cut from my high school basketball team too. Michael looked up in surprise. Really? Really? Twice, actually. Once as a sophomore, once as a junior. What happened the first time? I was devastated. Just like you are now. I thought it meant I wasn't good enough. I almost quit. But you didn't. Marcus shook his head. An old coach told me something that changed my whole perspective. He said getting cut doesn't mean you're not good enough. It means you're not ready yet. There's a big difference. Michael had never thought of it that way. What's the difference? Not good enough means you'll never make it. Not ready yet means you can still improve. It means you have work to do. But the work will pay off. Marcus stood up and grabbed the basketball. You know about David Thompson? Michael shook his head. David Thompson was one of the greatest college basketball players ever. Played for North Carolina State. Later played in the NBA. Amazing player. What about him? He got cut from his high school team his sophomore year. Just like you. His coach thought he was too small and not skilled enough. Michael's eyes widened. Really? Really? But instead of quitting, David used that rejection as fuel. He practiced harder than anyone else. He got stronger, faster, better. By his senior year, colleges were fighting over him. Marcus passed the ball back to Michael. The question is, what are you going to do? Are you going to let this cut define you, or are you going to let it drive you? Michael bounced the ball slowly. I don't know. Everyone at school is talking about it. They all think I'm a failure. Who cares what they think? Marcus said. The only opinion that matters is yours. Do you love basketball? Yes. Do you believe you can get better? Michael thought about it. Deep down, he knew he could improve. He was still growing. His skills were still developing. Yes, he said. Then you have everything you need. The cut isn't your end, Michael. Your beginning. They talked for another hour as the sun set over Wilmington. Marcus told him about other players who had been cut and came back stronger. He talked about the importance of using pain as motivation. Champions aren't made when everything goes right, Marcus said. Champions are made when everything goes wrong and they choose to keep fighting anyway. When it was time to leave, Marcus walked Michael to the gate. Will I see you again? Michael asked. I'll be around for a few more weeks. If you want to keep working on your game, meet me here tomorrow after school. Michael nodded. I'll be here. As Michael walked home, he felt something he hadn't felt in weeks. Help. For the first time since getting cut, he was thinking about basketball in a positive way. That night, he sat at his desk in his bedroom. He pulled out a piece of paper and started writing. He wasn't sure why, but he felt like he needed to capture this moment, this feeling, this promise he was making to himself. He wrote for almost an hour, pouring his heart onto the paper. When he finished, he looked at what he had written. It was a letter to his future self. He folded the letter carefully and put it in an envelope. On the front, he wrote, "Do not open until 2023. He wasn't sure why he picked that year. It just felt right, far enough in the future that he would be a completely different person. Michael hid the letter in his desk drawer, behind some old photos. Then he went to bed with a smile on his face for the first time in weeks. Tomorrow, he would start working harder than he ever had before. Tomorrow, he would begin his journey back to the basketball team. Tomorrow, he would start becoming Michael Jordan. But first, Michael needed to finish his letter. He sat at his wooden desk in his bedroom, the lamp casting a warm circle of light on the blank paper. Outside his window, Wilmington was quiet except for the sound of wind through the trees. Michael held his pen and thought about what Marcus had told him. About David Thompson. About champions being made when everything goes wrong. About the difference between not being good enough and not being ready yet. He started writing. Dear future Michael, I'm writing this on November 30th, 1979. 3 weeks ago was the worst day of my life. I got cut from the basketball team. Everyone thinks I'm a failure. Sometimes I think they're right. I felt like quitting. I wanted to give up on basketball forever. But today I met a man named Marcus Williams who changed how I think about everything. Michael paused and looked out his window. He could see the community center in the distance where he had met Marcus. Tomorrow he would go back there and start working harder than he ever had before. He continued writing, Marcus told me that getting cut doesn't mean I'm not good enough. It means I'm not ready yet. He's right. I'm not ready yet. But I'm going to get ready. So I'm making you some promises, future Michael. I'm making promises that I will keep no matter what. Michael's hand was steady as he wrote the most important words of his life. Promise number 1, I will never let anyone outwork me. Ever. I will be the first person in the gym and the last person to leave. I will practice when other kids are sleeping. I will practice when other kids are playing video games. I will practice until my hands bleed and my legs shake. No one will want it more than me. Promise number 2, I will turn this pain into power. Every time someone doubts me, I will use it as fuel. Every time someone says I can't do something, I will prove them wrong. This cut will not break me. It will make me stronger. Promise number 3, I will prove that getting cut was the best thing that ever happened to me. I know that sounds crazy right now, but I believe it's true. If I had made varsity this year, maybe I would have gotten comfortable. Maybe I would have stopped working so hard. Getting cut gave me something I didn't have before, hunger. Michael stopped writing and thought about his next promise. This one was harder to put into words, but it felt important. Promise number 4, when I'm famous someday, and I will be famous, I'll find a way to help other kids who get cut from their teams. I'll show them that failure is just the beginning, not the end. I'll prove that dreams don't die when someone tells you no. They just get stronger. Michael looked at what he had written for promises to his future self, but there was one more thing he needed to say, something that felt even more important than the promises. Future Michael, I want you to remember something. The boy who got cut from the team is still inside you. Don't ever forget him. Don't ever forget how it felt to not be good enough. That feeling is your superpower. It's what will drive you when things get easy. It's what will push you when everyone else stops pushing. When you read this letter in 2023, I want you to remember that your greatest strength came from your greatest weakness. The cut saved you. The rejection made you. The failure was actually success in disguise. Never forget the boy who wasn't ready yet. He's the reason you became great. Love, past Michael. I want to thank Coach Herring for cutting me. I know that sounds weird, but I think he saved my basketball career. If I had made varsity this year, I might have thought I was already good enough. I might have stopped improving. Getting cut showed me how much work I still need to do. Someday, I want to shake his hand and thank him for making me hungry. P.S. I'm going to bury something in the backyard tomorrow. A time capsule. Inside will be the basketball I've been practicing with every day since I got cut. It's old and worn, but it's special to me. I want you to find it when you read this letter. Give it to a kid who needs it. A kid who got cut from their team. Tell them this basketball helped make Michael Jordan who he is. Maybe it will help them too. Michael finished writing and read the letter twice. The words felt right. They felt true. They felt like a promise he could keep. He folded the letter carefully and put it in an envelope. On the front, he wrote in his best handwriting, "Do not open until 2023. Why 2023? Michael wasn't sure. It just felt like the right amount of time. Long enough for him to become the man he wanted to be. Long enough to see if he could keep his promises. He opened his desk drawer and put the letter in the very back, behind some old baseball cards and school photos. Someday, when he was 60 years old, he would find this letter again, and he would know if he had kept his word. The next morning, Michael woke up before his alarm clock. He put on his sneakers and grabbed his basketball. In the backyard, under the old oak tree, he dug a small hole. He placed the basketball inside a metal box, along with a note that said, "This basketball belongs to the future. Give it to someone who needs it." He buried the box and patted down the dirt. Then he went inside and got ready for school. At school that day, kids still whispered about him getting cut, but Michael didn't care anymore. He knew something they didn't know. He knew that getting cut was just the beginning of his story, not the end. After school, Michael went to the community center. Marcus was already there, shooting free throws, ready to work. Marcus asked, "I've been ready my whole life," Michael said. "I just didn't know it until now." They practiced for 2 hours. Michael's shots were falling. His moves were getting sharper. His confidence was coming back. When they finished, Marcus looked at him with a smile. "You're different today." What changed? Michael thought about the letter hidden in his desk, about the promises he had made to himself, about the basketball buried in his backyard. "I figured out who I am," Michael said. "I'm not the kid who got cut. I'm the kid who's going to prove that getting cut was the best thing that ever happened to him." Marcus nodded. That's the attitude of a champion. As Michael walked home that evening, he felt like a different person than he had been that morning. The boy who wanted to quit basketball was gone. In his place was a young man with a mission. Michael Jordan was about to begin the greatest comeback in basketball history. And it all started with a letter. Over the next 4 months, Michael Jordan became a different person. He woke up every morning at 5:30 a.m. before the sun came up. He would eat a quick breakfast and run to the community center. Marcus was always there waiting for him. "Champions are made in the dark," Marcus would say. "When no one is watching, when no one is cheering, when it's just you and your dreams." They worked on everything: shooting, dribbling, defense, footwork. Michael's hands got blistered from dribbling so much. His legs ached from running drills, but he loved every minute of it. "Why do you work so hard?" Marcus asked him one morning in January. Michael thought about his letter, about the promises he had made. "Because I have something to prove," he said. "To who?" "To everyone who thinks I'm not good enough. To Coach Herring who cut me. To myself." Marcus smiled. That's the right answer. At school, Michael's friends noticed the change. He ate lunch faster so he could go to the gym and shoot baskets. He went to bed earlier so he could wake up for morning practice. He stopped watching TV and started watching basketball games on tape, studying how the best players moved. "You're obsessed," his friend Tony said one day. "All you think about is basketball." "That's the point," Michael said. Even his parents saw the difference. His mother, Dolores, found him in the driveway at 11 p.m. one night, shooting baskets in the dark. "Michael, honey, you need to come inside. You have school tomorrow." "Just 10 more shots, Mom, please." "You said that an hour ago." Michael made his last shot and walked inside. But in his mind, he was still practicing. He dreamed about basketball. He thought about basketball during math class. Basketball was becoming his life. In February, something amazing happened. Michael grew 3 inches. He went from 5 feet 10 to 6 feet 1, almost overnight. His pants became too short. His sleeves became too small. His mother had to buy him all new clothes. But more important than his height, his skills were growing too. His jump shot was becoming automatic. His dribbling was getting smoother. His defense was getting tougher. "You're a different player than you were 4 months ago," Marcus told him one day. "You're becoming dangerous." Michael knew Marcus was right. He could feel it in his bones. He was getting better every single day. In March, Coach Fred Lynch called Michael into his office after JV practice. "Jordan, I've been watching you," Coach Lynch said. "You're playing like a man possessed. What's gotten into you?" "I just want to get better, Coach." "Well, it's working. You scored 35 points last night. That's a school record for JV. Michael smiled, but he wasn't satisfied. 35 points was good, but he wanted more. He wanted to be so good that no coach could ever cut him again. The JV season ended with Michael averaging 28 points per game. Other schools started hearing about the kid from Laney who had been cut from varsity but was tearing up the JV league. One day in April, Marcus didn't show up at the community center. Michael waited for 2 hours, but Marcus never came. The next day, the same thing happened. On the third day, Michael asked the maintenance man at the center if he had seen Marcus. The man from Chicago, he left town yesterday, said his business here was finished. Michael felt sad that Marcus was gone, but also grateful. Marcus had taught him everything he needed to know. Now it was time to prove he could do it alone. That spring and summer, Michael practiced harder than ever. He grew another inch, reaching 6 feet 2. His body was getting stronger. His confidence was growing. When basketball season started in November 1980, Michael was ready. Coach Herring posted the varsity tryout schedule in September. Michael's name was on the list. This time, he wasn't nervous. He was excited. During tryouts, Michael dominated. He outplayed seniors who had been on varsity for years. He scored at will. He played defense like his life depended on it. The other players noticed. "Jordan's a different player this year," they whispered. "He's scary good." Leroy Smith, who was now a senior and the team captain, pulled Michael aside after one practice. "Man, what happened to you? You're playing like you're angry at the world." "I am angry," Michael said, "and I'm going to stay angry until I prove what I can do." When Coach Herring posted the varsity team list in November 1980, Michael's name was at the top. Not only had he made the team, he was going to be a starter. Michael stared at his name on the list. He remembered standing in this same spot exactly 1 year ago, looking for his name and not finding it. The boy who had been cut was gone. In his place stood a young man who had turned rejection into fuel. That night, Michael called his parents into his room. He wanted to tell them about the letter he had written a year ago, about the promises he had made, about how getting cut had actually saved his basketball career. But when he opened his desk drawer to get the letter, it wasn't there. He searched through everything: old papers, pencils, baseball cards. The letter was gone. "What are you looking for, honey?" his mother asked. "Nothing important," Michael said. "I just thought I had left something here." Michael had forgotten that he had moved the letter when he cleaned out his desk a few months earlier. He had put it in a box with other old papers and stored it in the basement. The letter would stay there, forgotten, for the next 43 years. But the promises he had made in that letter lived on in Michael's heart. Every day, he worked to keep his word to his future self. His varsity career was about to begin. College scouts were already asking about him, but Michael knew this was just the start. He had promises to keep, dreams to chase, and a letter waiting for him in the future. The boy who got cut was becoming the man who would never lose. Michael's senior year at Laney High School was magical. He averaged 29 points per game and led his team to the state playoffs. College scouts filled the gym every night, watching him play. They took notes on everything: how he moved, how he shot, how he thought about the game. "That Jordan kid is special," they whispered to each other. "He plays like he's angry at the basketball." By spring of 1981, over 300 colleges wanted Michael to play for them. Duke University called every week. North Carolina State sent letters every day. Even UCLA from California was interested. But Michael had his heart set on one school, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Their coach, Dean Smith, was known for developing great players. He had coached Olympic teams and NBA stars. When Coach Smith visited Michael's home in Wilmington, Michael's parents were impressed. Coach Smith didn't just talk about basketball. He talked about education, character, and preparing young men for life after sports. "Michael has incredible talent," Coach Smith told James and Delores Jordan. "But more importantly, he has the work ethic to reach his full potential. That's rare. Will he get to play right away?" Michael's father asked. Coach Smith smiled. "He earns it, yes. At Carolina, everything is earned, nothing is given." That was exactly what Michael wanted to hear. He had learned that the best things in life came through hard work, not through gifts. In September 1981, Michael arrived at the University of North Carolina. The campus was beautiful, with old brick buildings and tall trees everywhere. But Michael wasn't there to sightsee. He was there to become the best basketball player he could be. His freshman teammates included future NBA players like James Worthy and Sam Perkins. These guys were older, stronger, and more experienced than Michael. At first, he felt like the scared sophomore who got cut from varsity all over again. "Don't worry, young fella," James Worthy told him after their first practice, "We all felt nervous when we got here. You'll find your place." Coach Smith ran tough practices. He demanded perfect execution of every play. He made his players study game film for hours. He taught them that basketball was as much about thinking as it was about athletic ability. "Basketball is not about one player," Coach Smith told his team. "It's about 5 players working as one. The player who makes his teammates better is more valuable than the player who just scores points." Michael listened carefully. He had always been a scorer, but Coach Smith was teaching him to be a complete player. He learned to pass the ball at the right time. He learned to play better defense. He learned to make his teammates look good. During his freshman year, Michael came off the bench. He averaged 13 points per game, which was good for a rookie, but he wanted more. He wanted to be a starter. He wanted to be the best player on the team. "Patience, Michael," Coach Smith told him. "Your time will come. Keep working." Michael's time came sooner than anyone expected. In March 1982, North Carolina made it to the NCAA championship game against Georgetown University. Georgetown had a giant center named Patrick Ewing who was supposed to be the best college player in America. The championship game was played in New Orleans. Michael's parents flew down to watch. So did many people from Wilmington, including some of his old coaches and teammates. With 32 seconds left in the game, North Carolina was losing 60-61. Coach Smith called timeout and drew up a play. The ball was supposed to go to James Worthy, the team's best player, but when the play started, Georgetown's defense was focused on Worthy. Michael was standing alone on the left side of the court, 16 feet from the basket. Worthy saw Michael open and passed him the ball. Michael caught it, looked at the basket, and shot without hesitation. The ball went through the net clean. North Carolina 63, Georgetown 62. Georgetown missed their last shot. North Carolina had won the national championship, and Michael Jordan, the freshman from Wilmington who had been cut from his high school team, had made the winning shot. After the game, Michael was surrounded by reporters. "How does it feel to make the biggest shot in college basketball?" they asked. "It feels good," Michael said, "but this is just the beginning. I have a lot more work to do." His teammates carried him around on their shoulders. His parents cried with joy. Coach Smith smiled proudly. But Michael was already thinking about next season, about getting better, about improving his game. The shot had made him famous, but it had also shown him how much pressure he could handle. "I almost missed," he told his roommate, Buzz Peterson, that night in their hotel room. "My hands were shaking when I caught the ball." "But you didn't miss," Buzz said. "That's what separates good players from great players. Great players make big shots when it matters." Michael thought about the letter he had written 3 years earlier. He had promised to prove that getting cut was the best thing that ever happened to him. Making this shot felt like the first step in keeping that promise. Over the next 2 years at Carolina, Michael became the best college basketball player in America. He averaged 20 points per game as a sophomore and junior. He won every award possible: Player of the Year, All-American, Olympic Team Selection. Sports writers called him the most exciting player they had ever seen. He could jump higher than anyone. He could score from anywhere on the court. He played defense like his life depended on it. But more importantly, he was learning lessons that would help him for the rest of his career. Coach Smith taught him about leadership, teamwork, and handling pressure. He learned that individual success meant nothing without team success. In 1984, after his junior year, Michael made a difficult decision. He was going to leave college early and enter the NBA draft. Some people thought he was making a mistake. "You should stay in school one more year," his father advised. "Get your degree first." "I'll come back and finish my degree later, Dad," Michael said. "But I'm ready for the NBA now. I can feel it." Coach Smith supported his decision. Michael has learned everything college basketball can teach him, he told reporters. He's ready for the next level. The Chicago Bulls selected Michael third in the 1984 NBA draft. 2 teams had passed on him, the Houston Rockets and the Portland Trail Blazers. They thought other players were better choices. Michael wrote their names in his mental notebook, just like he had done with the kids who laughed when he got cut from high school. He would remember their doubt forever. As Michael prepared to leave Chapel Hill for Chicago, he thought about how far he had come 4 years ago. He was a heartbroken teenager who almost quit basketball. Now he was about to play in the NBA. But Michael knew the real test was just beginning. College was one thing, the NBA was completely different. He would be playing against grown men who had been professionals for years. He would be playing for money, not just trophies. Most importantly, he would finally have the chance to prove that the boy who got cut could become the man who never lost. The letter he had forgotten was still waiting for him, buried in a box somewhere in his past. But the promises he had made were very much alive. Michael's first day as a Chicago Bull was October 26, 1984. He walked into the Berto Center, the team's practice facility, wearing a crisp suit and carrying a new gym bag. At 21 years old, he was about to fulfill his childhood dream of playing professional basketball. But the Chicago Bulls were a terrible team. They had won only 28 games the year before. Their fans had stopped coming to games. Their players had stopped believing they could win. "Welcome to the Bulls," said Orlando Woolridge, one of the veteran players. "Hope you like losing." Rookie Michael didn't like losing. He had never liked losing. The comment made his stomach turn. In his first NBA game, Michael scored 16 points against the Washington Bullets. The crowd in Chicago Stadium cheered every time he touched the ball. For a moment, everything felt perfect. But as the weeks went by, Michael learned that the NBA was much harder than college basketball. The players were bigger, stronger, and faster. They had been playing professional basketball for years. They knew tricks that Michael had never seen before. "College ball is like checkers," said Artis Gilmore, the Bulls' veteran center. "The NBA is like chess. You need to think 3 moves ahead." Michael worked harder than ever. He was the first player at practice and the last to leave. He studied game film until his eyes hurt. He lifted weights until his muscles ached. But his team kept losing. The Bulls finished Michael's rookie year with only 38 wins and 44 losses. Michael won Rookie of the Year, averaging 28 points per game. But individual awards felt empty when his team was losing. "Scoring points is easy," Michael told his mother during a phone call home. "Winning games is hard. Be patient, baby," Delores Jordan said. Good things take time, but Michael didn't want to be patient. He remembered his promise from the letter he had written years ago. He had sworn he would prove that getting cut was the best thing that ever happened to him. How could he prove that if his team never won anything important? The next few years were frustrating. Michael kept getting better as an individual player. He won the scoring title in 1987, averaging 37 points per game. He won another scoring title in 1988. He won the MVP award in 1988. But his team kept losing. In the playoffs, every spring, they would make it to the first or second round, then lose to a better team. The Boston Celtics beat them year after year. The Detroit Pistons beat them too. The worst loss came in 1986 against the Celtics. Michael scored 49 points in one game, then 63 points in the next game. The 63 points was a playoff record that still stands today. After that 63-point game, Larry Bird, the Celtics superstar, said something that would haunt Michael for years. "That's God disguised as Michael Jordan." It sounded like a compliment, but Michael knew what Bird really meant. He was saying that Michael was an amazing individual player, but he couldn't win championships. He was saying that basketball was a team sport, and Michael's team wasn't good enough. The comment stung because it was partially true. Michael was putting up incredible numbers, but the Bulls were still losing. Other players and coaches started calling him selfish. "Jordan shoots too much," they said. "He doesn't make his teammates better. He cares more about his own stats than winning games." The criticism hurt more than any physical pain Michael had ever felt. He remembered being cut from his high school team and how that felt like the end of the world. But this was worse. This felt like everyone was saying he was a great individual player but a poor team player. Michael started to doubt himself. Maybe the critics were right. Maybe he was too focused on scoring. Maybe he needed to change his approach to the game. In 1987, his father James Jordan Sr. visited him in Chicago. They sat in Michael's apartment, eating Chinese food and talking about basketball. "Son," "You look troubled," his father said. "I feel like I'm letting everyone down, Dad. I'm scoring all these points, but we're not winning championships. People are saying I'm selfish." James Jordan Sr. put down his chopsticks and looked at his son seriously. "Michael, do you remember when you got cut from your high school team?" "Of course. What did you learn from that experience?" Michael thought for a moment. "That I needed to work harder. That I couldn't let other people's opinions define me." "Exactly. You're facing the same test now, just at a higher level. The question is, are you going to let criticism break you, or are you going to use it to get better?" That conversation changed everything for Michael. He realized he had been so focused on proving his individual worth that he had forgotten the most important lesson from getting cut. Basketball was about more than just him. Michael started spending more time helping his teammates improve. He encouraged them during practice. He passed the ball more during games. He studied how other championship teams played together. Slowly, the Bulls started getting better. They added better players like Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant. They hired a new coach named Phil Jackson who understood how to manage superstars. But the breakthrough came in 1991, 7 years after Michael joined the Bulls. That spring, they finally beat the Detroit Pistons in the playoffs. The Pistons had beaten them 3 years in a row, but this time the Bulls were too strong. In the NBA Finals, the Bulls faced the Los Angeles Lakers, led by Magic Johnson. The Lakers were the defending champions and heavy favorites to win, but the Bulls swept the Lakers for games to 1. Michael averaged 31 points per game and was named Finals MVP. When the final buzzer sounded, he collapsed on the floor and cried. "This is for everyone who said I couldn't win the big one," he said through his tears. "This is for everyone who said I was just a scorer." As Michael held the championship trophy, he thought about the letter he had written 12 years earlier. Had promised to prove that getting cut was the best thing that ever happened to him. This felt like the first real proof, but deep in his heart, Michael knew this was just the beginning. One championship wasn't enough. He wanted more. He wanted to become the greatest basketball player who ever lived. The boy who got cut was finally becoming the man who could win it all. After winning his first championship in 1991, Michael Jordan became the most famous athlete in the world. His face was on cereal boxes and billboards. Kids everywhere wore his jersey number 23. His shoes, called Air Jordans, became more popular than any sports product in history. But fame brought new challenges that Michael had never expected. Everyone wanted something from him. Reporters followed him everywhere. Fans waited outside his house. Business people called his agent every day with new deals. "Sometimes I miss being just a basketball player," Michael told his wife Juanita one evening. They were eating dinner at home, trying to have a normal family conversation with their children. "You're still just a basketball player," Juanita said. "Don't let all this other stuff change who you are." Michael nodded, but he could feel the pressure building. Everyone expected him to be perfect all the time, on the court and off the court. It was exhausting. The Bulls won their second championship in 1992, beating the Portland Trail Blazers. Then they won their third championship in 1993, beating the Phoenix Suns. Michael was becoming a legend, but the success came with a heavy price. The worst moment of Michael's life came on July 23, 1993. His father, James Jordan Sr., was driving home from a funeral in North Carolina when he stopped to rest at a highway rest area. 2 young men robbed and killed him. Michael was devastated. His father had been his best friend, his advisor, and his biggest supporter. James Jordan Sr. had always dreamed of his son playing professional baseball. And now, he would never see Michael try. "I can't do this anymore," Michael told his mother after the funeral. "Basketball doesn't feel important without Dad here to watch." On October 6, 1993, Michael shocked the world by announcing his retirement from basketball. He was only 30 years old and at the peak of his career, but he needed to step away from the game that had consumed his life. "I have nothing left to prove in basketball," he told reporters. "I want to try something new. I want to honor my father's memory by playing baseball." Most people thought Michael was crazy. Baseball? He hadn't played baseball since high school. How could the greatest basketball player in the world suddenly become a professional baseball player? But Michael signed with the Birmingham Barons, a minor league baseball team in Alabama. He moved to Birmingham and started over as a rookie baseball player. His teammates were 19 and 20 years old. He was 31. "This is harder than I thought it would be," Michael admitted to his batting coach after striking out for the third time in one game. "I haven't held a baseball bat in 13 years. The baseball experiment was humbling." Michael hit only .202 in his first season. He struck out 114 times. Fans and reporters made fun of him. Some said he was embarrassing himself, but Michael didn't care about the criticism. Baseball reminded him why he loved sports in the first place. It wasn't about fame or money or proving anything to anyone. It was about the pure joy of competing and trying to get better every day. During his time in Birmingham, Michael often thought about his father. He remembered all the conversations they had about basketball, family, and life. He remembered his father's advice after he got cut from his high school team. "Sometimes our biggest failures become our greatest teachers." After 18 months in baseball, Michael realized he was ready to return to basketball. He missed the game. He missed his teammates. He missed the feeling of hitting a game-winning shot. On March 18, 1995, Michael released a simple two-word statement to the press: "I'm back." The basketball world went crazy. Michael Jordan was returning to the Chicago Bulls, but he wasn't the same player who had left. He was older, rustier, and less confident. In his first game back, Michael scored only 19 points. The Bulls lost. Reporters wondered if he had been away too long. Maybe Michael should have stayed retired, they wrote. Maybe he can't get back to his old level. But Michael knew something the critics didn't know. He remembered the lesson from getting cut in high school: setbacks were just setups for comebacks. The Bulls made the playoffs that spring but lost in the second round. Michael was disappointed, but not discouraged. He spent the entire summer of 1995 getting back into basketball shape. The 1995-96 season was magical. Michael was better than ever. The Bulls won 72 games, the most in NBA history at that time. Michael won his fourth championship, his fourth Finals MVP award, and his eighth scoring title. But more importantly, he was playing with pure joy again. Baseball had reminded him that sports were supposed to be fun. Championships were great, but the real reward was the daily process of trying to improve. The Bulls won again in 1997 and 1998, giving Michael 6 championships total. After the 1998 finals, he retired for the second time. "This time it's for real," he told reporters. "I've accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish in basketball." But even in retirement, Michael couldn't stop thinking about the promises he had made to himself as a teenager. He had proven that getting cut was the best thing that ever happened to him. He had become the greatest basketball player who ever lived. But there was one promise he hadn't fully kept yet. He had promised to help other kids who got cut from their teams. He had done some of that through charity work and basketball camps. But he felt like he could do more. Michael bought the Charlotte Hornets NBA team in 2010. He started a foundation that helped underprivileged kids learn basketball and life skills. He spoke at schools about overcoming failure and never giving up on dreams. "Getting cut was the best thing that ever happened to me," he would tell young athletes. "It taught me that failure is just a teacher in disguise. It taught me that setbacks are setups for comebacks." The kids would listen with wide eyes, amazed that Michael Jordan had once been cut from his basketball team. To them, he seemed like a superhero who had never failed at anything. But Michael knew the truth. His greatest strength had come from his greatest weakness. The boy who wasn't good enough had become the man who was better than everyone. Somewhere in a box in storage, a letter was still waiting for him. A letter from a heartbroken 16-year-old who had made promises he couldn't imagine keeping. That boy had kept every single promise. He just didn't remember making them. In 2020, Michael Jordan was 57 years old and living a quieter life. He owned the Charlotte Hornets basketball team and spent most of his time between Charlotte and his home in Florida. The world knew him as the greatest basketball player ever, but he was also a businessman, a father, and a grandfather. That spring, something happened that would change everything. A letter arrived at the Hornets office, addressed to Michael Jordan personally, his assistant, Mario, brought it to his attention because it seemed different from the usual fan mail. The letter was handwritten on school notebook paper. The return address showed it was from Wilmington, North Carolina, Michael's hometown. "This one feels special, Mr. Jordan," Maria said. "Maybe you should read it yourself." Michael opened the letter carefully. It was from a woman named Angela. "Washington, dear Mr. Jordan," the letter began. "My name is Angela Washington, and I live in Wilmington. I'm writing to you about my 12-year-old son, Jamal. He just got cut from his middle school basketball team, and he's heartbroken. He knows that you got cut from your team too, when you were young. He looks up to you more than anyone in the world. Could you maybe write him a letter or something? He needs to hear from someone who understands." Michael put the letter down and stared out his office window. He hadn't thought about getting cut from his high school team in years. But reading Angela's words brought all those memories rushing back. He remembered the day Coach Herring posted the team list. He remembered running to the bathroom and throwing up. He remembered feeling like his world was ending. But he also remembered something else, something about a promise he had made, a promise to help other kids who faced the same rejection. "Maria," Michael called out, "cancel my meetings for tomorrow. I'm going to Wilmington." The next day, Michael drove the 2 hours from Charlotte to Wilmington. The city had changed a lot since he was a teenager, but some things were the same. The old community center where he had met Marcus Williams was still there. Laney High School still looked exactly like it did in 1979. Michael found the Washington family's address and knocked on their door. When Angela Washington opened it, her mouth dropped open. "Oh my goodness, Mr. Jordan, what are you doing here? I got your letter about Jamal." Michael said, "I wanted to meet him." Angela called for her son. Jamal came to the door slowly, his eyes wide with disbelief. He was a small kid, maybe 5'4", with big dreams and a broken heart. "Hi, Jamal," Michael said. "I hear you got cut from your basketball team." Jamal nodded, too nervous to speak. "You know what? So did I, right here in Wilmington, when I was about your age." "Really?" Jamal whispered. "Really? And it hurt so bad that I wanted to quit basketball forever." Michael spent the next 2 hours with Jamal and his family. He told them about getting cut, about wanting to give up, about the long journey from that low point to 6 NBA championships. "Getting cut doesn't mean you're not good enough," Michael told Jamal. "It means you're not ready yet. There's a big difference." Before he left, Michael made Jamal a promise. "Every time I come back to Wilmington, I'll work out with you. We'll practice together. Deal?" Jamal's eyes lit up. "Deal." Over the next 3 years, Michael kept his promise. He visited Wilmington every few months, and each time he spent hours working with Jamal on basketball skills and mental toughness. "The most important muscle in basketball isn't in your arms or legs," Michael told Jamal during one workout. "It's in your head. You have to believe you can get better every single day." Jamal improved dramatically. He grew 3 inches. His shooting got better. His confidence grew. By his freshman year in high school, he made the varsity team. But Michael's relationship with Jamal became about more than just basketball. He saw something in the boy that reminded him of himself at that age: the hunger, the determination, the refusal to give up. "Why do you spend so much time helping me?" Jamal asked. One day after practice, Michael thought about the question. Why did he do it? It wasn't like he needed good publicity or more fame. He had everything a person could want. "Because someone helped me when I needed it most," Michael said. "And because I made a promise a long time ago." "What kind of promise?" Michael paused. He had said something he didn't fully understand. What promise was he talking about? He couldn't remember making any specific promise about helping kids who got cut. "I'm not sure," he said honestly, "but I know it's important." In March 2023, Jamal was now 15 years old and one of the best players on his high school team. He had just scored 28 points in a playoff game, leading his team to victory. After the game, Jamal ran over to Michael, who had been sitting in the stands. "Did you see that shot I made at the end?" Jamal asked excitedly. "I saw it," Michael smiled. "Your dad would have been proud." Jamal's father had died in a car accident the year before. Michael had been there for the family during that difficult time, just like his own father had been there for him. "Mr. Jordan," Jamal said more seriously, "I want to thank you for everything you've done for me. You saved my basketball career. You probably saved my life." Michael felt a wave of emotion wash over him. "You saved yourself, Jamal. I just showed you that it was possible." As Michael drove home to Charlotte that night, he couldn't stop thinking about what Jamal had said, about saving his basketball career, about promises made long ago. He thought about the boy he used to be, heartbroken, embarrassed, ready to quit. And he thought about the man he had become, successful beyond his wildest dreams, but still driven by something he couldn't quite name. When he got home, his wife Yvette was waiting for him. "How did the game go?" she asked. "Jamal was amazing. He's going to be special. You're proud of him." "I am. But more than that, I feel like I'm supposed to be helping him, like it's part of some bigger plan." Yvette studied her husband's face. "Michael, you've been helping kids your whole career, through camps, charity work, speaking at schools. Why does this feel different?" Michael shook his head. "I don't know. It just does. Like I'm keeping a promise I made to someone important, but I can't remember who or when." A few days later, Michael decided to visit his childhood home in Wilmington one more time. The current owners recognized him and invited him inside. The house looked different with new paint and furniture, but it still felt like home. "Would it be okay if I looked around the backyard?" Michael asked. "I used to play basketball out there when I was a kid." "Of course, Mr. Jordan. Take all the time you need." Michael walked into the backyard and saw the old oak tree where he used to practice his shots. Something about the tree seemed familiar, like it held a memory he couldn't quite reach. He knelt down and touched the ground near the tree's roots. The dirt felt soft, like it had been disturbed before, like something had been buried there long ago. But Michael couldn't remember what. Back in March 2023, Michael sat in his Highland Park mansion, holding the yellowed envelope in his shaking hands. 3 months had passed since his visit to Wilmington, and he still couldn't shake the feeling that he was missing something important. "You've been staring at that letter for an hour," Yvette said gently. "Are you going to open it or not?" Michael looked at his wife. "What if it changes everything? What if I wrote something that I don't want to remember?" "Michael, you became the greatest basketball player who ever lived. You won 6 championships. You inspired millions of people. You helped kids like Jamal find their way. Whatever that 16-year-old boy wrote, you proved him right." Michael nodded and carefully tore open the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of notebook paper. The blue lines faded but still visible. His teenage handwriting looked so young, so hopeful. He read the letter silently first. As his eyes moved across the words, his face changed. Surprise, recognition, deep emotion. "Oh my God," he whispered. "What does it say?" Yvette asked. Michael's voice shook as he read the letter out loud. "Dear future Michael, I'm writing this on November 30th, 1979. 3 weeks ago was the worst day of my life. I got cut from the basketball team. Everyone thinks I'm a failure. Sometimes I think they're right, but I'm making you some promises, future Michael. Promises that I will keep no matter what. Promise number 1, I will never let anyone outwork me, ever. Promise number 2, I will turn this pain into power. Promise number 3, I will prove that getting cut was the best thing that ever happened to me. Promise number 4, when I'm famous someday, I'll find a way to help other kids who get cut from their teams. I'll show them that failure is just the beginning, not the end." Michael stopped reading. His hands were shaking harder now. "Yvette, I completely forgot about Jamal. I forgot that helping him was keeping a promise I made to myself 44 years ago." "Keep reading," she said softly. Michael continued. "Future Michael, I want you to remember something. The boy who got cut from the team is still inside you. Don't ever forget him. That feeling of not being good enough is your superpower. What will drive you when things get easy? When you read this letter in 2023, I want you to remember that your greatest strength came from your greatest weakness. The cut saved you. The rejection made you. The failure was actually success in disguise. Never forget the boy who wasn't ready yet. He's the reason you became great. Love, past Michael." I want to thank Coach Herring for cutting me. Someday, I want to shake his hand and thank him for making me hungry. P.P.S. I buried a time capsule in the backyard today, under the old oak tree. Inside is the basketball I've been practicing with every day since I got cut. I want you to find it and give it to a kid who needs it. Tell them this basketball helped make Michael Jordan who he is. Maybe it will help them too. Michael finished reading and looked up at Yvette. Tears were running down his face. The time capsule, he said. That's what I was feeling when I touched the ground by the oak tree. I buried a basketball there when I was 16. We have to go get it, Yvette said. The next morning, Michael called the homeowners in Wilmington and explained about the time capsule. They were excited to help him dig it up. Michael and Yvette flew to Wilmington that afternoon. Under the old oak tree, with a small shovel, Michael dug carefully into the dirt. About 2 feet down, his shovel hit something metal. He pulled out a rusty metal box, about the size of a showbox. Inside, wrapped in an old towel, was a basketball. It was faded and worn. The orange color turned brown with age, but it was still round, still whole. Michael held the basketball in his hands and closed his eyes. Suddenly, he could remember everything. Practicing with this ball every morning before school, shooting with it in the driveway until his mother called him for dinner, dribbling it while he walked to meet Marcus Williams at the community center. This basketball was with me through everything, he told Yvette. Every shot I practiced, every drill I ran, every promise I made to myself. What are you going to do with it? Michael smiled. He knew exactly what to do. That evening, Michael drove to Jamal Washington's house. Jamal was now 16 years old, a junior in high school, and one of the best players in North Carolina. College scouts were already calling about him. Mr. Jordan, Jamal said when he opened the door. What are you doing here? I have something for you, Michael said. He held up the old basketball. Jamal looked confused. It's kind of beat up, isn't it? Michael laughed. This basketball is 44 years old, Jamal. I practiced with it every day after I got cut from my high school team. Right here in Wilmington. Jamal's eyes got wide. This is the ball you used when you were my age. This is the ball. I buried it under a tree when I was 16 and promised myself I would give it to a kid who needed it someday. A kid who got cut from their team, just like I did. But I didn't get cut. I made my team. No, but you know what it feels like to be told you're not good enough. You know what it feels like to have people doubt you. That's what this basketball represents. It represents the power of never giving up. Michael handed the ball to Jamal. I want you to have this. Practice with it. Take care of it. And someday, when you meet a kid who gets cut from their team, I want you to give it to them. Jamal held the basketball like it was made of gold. Mr. Jordan, why are you giving this to me? You could put this in a museum. People would pay millions of dollars for it. Michael put his hand on Jamal's shoulder. Because 44 years ago, I made a promise to myself. I promised that if I ever became successful, I would help other kids who faced the same rejection I did. You're not just getting a basketball, Jamal. You're getting the responsibility to pass it on. What if I'm not good enough? What if I don't become a great player like you? You don't have to become Michael Jordan, Michael said. You just have to become the best Jamal Washington you can be. This basketball isn't worth millions because it belonged to Michael Jordan. It's worth millions because it represents the power of turning failure into fuel. As Michael drove away that night, he thought about the letter one more time. He had kept every single promise he made to his 16-year-old self. He had outworked everyone. He had turned his pain into power. He had proven that getting cut was the best thing that ever happened to him, and he had found a way to help other kids who faced the same rejection. But most importantly, he had never forgotten the boy who got cut. That boy was still inside him, still driving him, still reminding him that his greatest strength came from his greatest weakness. The letter had changed everything because it reminded Michael that success wasn't just about winning championships or making money. Success was about keeping promises to yourself and helping others find their way. Michael Jordan became the greatest basketball player of all time, not in spite of getting cut from his high school team, but because of it. The rejection taught him that failure was just a teacher in disguise. The cut gave him the hunger he needed to reach the top. And now, 44 years later, that same hunger lived on in a 16-year-old boy named Jamal Washington, who held an old basketball in his hands and understood that dreams don't die when someone tells you no. They just get stronger. The boy who got cut had become the man who never forgot where he came from. And the promises he made in a letter when he was heartbroken and scared had shaped not just his career, but his character. The letter revealed that Michael Jordan's greatest victory wasn't any championship he won. It was keeping his word to a -1-year-old boy who refused to give up on his dreams. Where are you listening from today? Drop a comment and let us know your city or country. We love hearing from our amazing audience around the world. If this story inspired you or taught you something new, please hit that like button right now. It really helps us reach more people who need to hear these powerful messages. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and ring that notification bell so you never miss our latest videos filled with incredible true stories like this one. Most importantly, share this video with your friends and family. Someone in your life might need to hear Michael Jordan's message about turning failure into fuel. When we share these stories, we spread kindness and awareness that can change lives. Thank you for listening. And remember, just like Michael Jordan learned, you're not defined by your setbacks. You're defined by how you respond to them. See you in the next video.